Thank you. As I read this, and in connection with the Kennedy Amendment, I'm concerned about one particular scenario, which is this. Let's say that the EPA relies upon a published report in Nature based upon a Harvard study. And it's obviously Nature is a reputable journal. There's no reason to think that it's unreliable information, but it simply is whatever 15 pages of data is put in that journal. In that situation, EPA would have no access to the underlying data. Harvard is under no obligation to provide that information even to Nature, much less to the EPA. And if I read this bill correctly, without the Kennedy Amendment, this means that in that situation, the EPA would not be able to go forward with any rule relying upon a published Harvard study in the journal Nature. That seems to me to be a fatal flaw in this bill. And I'll yield to anybody who's a proponent of this bill to explain why that's not the case. Thank you. Listen, I don't find that answer, with all due respect, satisfying. I think that what you're doing is you're tying the hands of the EPA based upon what you claim to be are provisions in Nature's own internal policies, which may not be true. As far as I know, they're not true, respectfully. And even if they were true, could change tomorrow. So you're basically making the EPA's rulemaking ability contingent upon the policies adopted by scientific journals. And I think that that's completely unacceptable. I'll yield to whoever wants to respond to that if you want, or I'll just yield back my time.
Okay. Gentleman yields.
Thank you. Our illustrious staff actually has come up with the restrictions regarding the availability of data from Nature itself. And thank you very much, staff, for doing that. What it says is that the authors are allowed to qualify the availability of material to the public as long as the qualification is not, quote, undue, close quote, and as long as they disclose that at the time of the submission and indicate it in the manuscript. So clearly under those circumstances, it is true that the authors of a paper in Nature, like for instance a Harvard study, would be able to withhold information from Nature, from the readers, from the EPA, while still being able to publish it in Nature. The result of that, including the fact that although EPA might conceivably have access to such information under some circumstances, it's under no existing duty to actually get it, means that we're holding the regulatory process at EPA hostage to whether or not individual authors of individual studies deign to allow the public, as well as the EPA, to get the information that's required here, as well as having the EPA actually ask for it. That seems to me to be essentially hog-tying the regulatory process and making it impossible for EPA to function in a practical way. I yield back.